Breaking news: what if I told you that a single industrial facility, not a missile base, not a military alliance, could quietly redefine America's economic power in the next global conflict? Breaking news: what if I told you that a single industrial facility, not a missile base, not a military alliance, could quietly redefine America's economic power in the next global conflict? Headlines: no breaking news alerts, just molten metal, supply chains, and geopolitics. In a move that has flown largely under the radar, the Trump administration has partnered with Korea Zinc, one of the world's most powerful metals producers, to build a $7.4 billion smelter in the United States, specifically in Clarksville, Tennessee. At first glance, it looks like just another factory announcement. But in reality, this project sits at the intersection of national security, economic warfare, China containment, and the future of global supply chains. Today, we're breaking down why this smelter matters far beyond Tennessee, what Korea Zinc really brings to the table, how this fits into America's long-term geopolitical strategy, and why critical metals may matter more than oil in the next decade. This isn't just industrial policy. It's geopolitics in steel, zinc, and copper. To understand the significance of this deal, we need to understand who Korea Zinc is. Korea Zinc is not just another mining company. It is the world's largest zinc smelting company and a major global producer of lead, silver, copper, and critical industrial byproducts. These metals are essential for military hardware, renewable energy infrastructure, electric vehicles, semiconductors, ammunition, aerospace manufacturing. In other words, modern civilization runs on the materials Korea Zinc refines. What makes Korea Zinc particularly important is where it usually operates. Most smelting and refining capacity for these metals is concentrated outside the United States, especially in East Asia and China. That dependency has become a strategic vulnerability. Mining the metal is only half the battle. Refining and smelting is where real power lies. You can dig zinc, copper, or lead out of the ground, but without a smelter, it's useless for advanced manufacturing. China understood this decades ago. That's why China controls over 50% of global zinc refining, a dominant share of rare earth processing, key choke points in battery and electronic supply chains. The United States, meanwhile, allowed much of its smelting capacity to disappear due to environmental regulations, outsourcing, and globalization. The result? America became dependent on foreign processing, even for metals mined domestically. This $7.4 billion Korea Zinc smelter directly challenges TH. The facility is planned for Clarksville, Tennessee, and that choice is strategic. The facility is planned for Clarksville, Tennessee, and that choice is strategic. Tennessee offers central access to manufacturing corridors, proximity to automotive and defense suppliers, strong logistics infrastructure, political support for heavy industry, but more importantly, it represents a shift in American industrial geography. For decades, heavy industry migrated overseas. This project brings high-value refining capacity back to soil. And it's not just symbolic. This single facility could process millions of tons of material annually, create thousands of direct and indirect jobs, serve as a backbone for defense and clean energy supply chains. So why is the Trump administration involved? Because this project fits squarely into Trump's broader worldview. Economic nationalism, strategic decoupling from China, domestic industrial revival, supply chain sovereignty. Under Trump, industrial projects weren't just economic decisions. They were national security assets. This partnership reflects a belief that you cannot be a global superpower if you don't control your own industrial base. The administration reportedly offered regulatory support, political backing, strategic alignment with defense and energy priorities. This wasn't about subsidies alone. It was about reshoring strategic capacity. This smelter is not just about Korea Zinc or the U.S. It's about China. China currently dominates zinc and copper processing, battery material refining, rare earth supply chains in a geopolitical crisis. Whether over Taiwan, the South China Sea, or sanctions, metal supply chains become weapons. If China cuts off access to refined metals, defense production slows, infrastructure projects stall, energy transitions collapse. By partnering with a trusted ally like South Korea, Washington reduces that risk. This is friendshoring in action. So why would Korea Zinc invest $7.4 billion in the U.S.? 3 reasons. First, Stability. The U offers long-term political and legal predictability compared to volatile regions. Second, market access. The U is one of the largest consumers of refined metals, especially for EVs and defense. Third, strategic alignment. South Korea is deeply integrated into U.S. security architecture. For Korea Zinc, this isn't just a factory. It's a geopolitical hedge. Of course, not everyone is celebrating. Smelters raise concerns about emissions, toxic byproducts, environmental justice, local opposition, and regulatory scrutiny are inevitable. But supporters argue that modern smelters are far cleaner than legacy facilities. Domestic production is environmentally preferable to outsourcing pollution abroad. Strategic autonomy outweighs short-term costs. This debate reflects a larger tension. Can modern economies be both green and geopolitically secure? Zoom out, and this project becomes part of a larger pattern. CHIPS Act, rare earth reshoring, battery plants, defense manufacturing expansion. The United States is quietly rebuilding its industrial war chest. Not for conflict, but for leverage. In the 21st century, power isn't just measured in tanks or aircraft carriers. It's measured in smelters, foundries, processing plants, supply chain control. The $7 for billion Korea Zinc smelter in Tennessee may never trend on social media. But years from now, historians may point to projects like this as the moment America realized something crucial. You cannot outsource your way to security. This isn't just a factory. It's a statement, a recalibration, a quiet move in a global chess game where metals matter as much as missiles. And as global tensions rise, the countries that control the building blocks of modern life will shape the future. If you want more deep dives into the hidden forces shaping global power, make sure to subscribe, because the real battles of the 21st century aren't always fought on the battlefield. They're fought in places like Clarksville, Tennessee.